Hi everybody, today we're doing a little bit of a segment because myself and Gary has started a business called Mechanics of Business, and we're digging into a little bit on the small business side today, and hoping that it will help some of you that have small businesses as well. So let's get started. Many small business owners feel stuck working in their business rather than on it. How do you help them make that shift?
Well, working with small businesses, the first thing we ask the owner to do is to map out his daily activities. And then the first step would be to remove any non-value adding activities on that list. Secondly, we ask him to identify a backup in his organization who could fill in with him, and then delegate the non-critical action items to that person. So he can focus on what's critical for the business and use the freed up time to start working on the more strategic side of the business. The first step of which would be to build a 90-day plan to start the growth pathway.
Is there a reason that you do this? Do you find that a lot of small business owners are not doing 90-day plans or taking the time out to strategize within their business? Because some people might feel, oh, it's just a small business, I don't need to do that.
I agree, that's what they do. Yeah, I think sometimes it's just the routine people get into. They are so busy doing day-to-day activities, they do what they need to do. They don't step back and say, this is what I'm actually doing. This part of what I'm doing adds value to the business. This part, I'm just doing it because I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Take that out. Free up that time. Focus on the part that adds value. And then identify what's critical to you, work on that, and try and delegate the rest to somebody else.
Now, what are the most common challenges you see in small businesses, and how do you guide owners through them?
I think there's really three things. Firstly is that there's no systems in place. They just do what they need to do when and whenever. Secondly, a fragile cash flow. And thirdly, inconsistent sales. So I think those are the three things to look at. Firstly, look at what your top three processes in the business are and standardize those. Secondly, institute regular reviews of your financial situation so that you manage your cash flow more carefully. And then try and build a sales funnel. There's various activities you can put in place to build a sales funnel that will give you some consistency in your sales revenue.
Can you walk us through how you approach strategic planning for a small business that wants to grow sustainably?
So I think for the small business owner, the first step is to understand where they are today and where they want to go to and when they want to be there. Then identify three strategic items that will move the business in that direction. Take those strategic items, break them down into a very careful strategic plan with action items, and delegate responsibility for those action items with milestones.
A lot of people that are in small businesses often look at strategy as something that's done with bigger businesses, and especially if people own stuff like a small supermarket or a little retail store or whatever. They look at it and they go, well, we don't have time for the strategies and all of that. That's what big businesses need to do. Do you think that is one of the mistakes that small businesses make?
I think small businesses must have a strategy because you're always reliant on some aspect of your customer base. Sometimes if you're a retail corner store, you have a larger customer base, but a lot of small businesses tend to have one major customer that generates most of their revenue. And that's a dangerous position to get into. So it's important that they step back and focus on how they can broaden their customer base, perhaps broaden their product portfolio, and build resilience into the business for any hard times that may come.
So how do you help small businesses create actionable 1 to 5 year plans without them feeling overwhelmed by the process?
So I think firstly, I believe for smaller businesses, a 3-year time frame is probably the ideal period to look at. First step is to understand where you want your business to be at the end of 3 years. Then identify no more than 3 strategic items that will take you in that direction. Convert those strategic items into strategic plans, break it down into quarterly targets with action items and responsibilities attached to it. So I think once the small business starts seeing that these smaller targets are being achieved, it builds confidence, it builds momentum. At the same time, it does not stress the organization.
Now, obviously, I know because that's a part of business that I hate, is the strategic part of business, because I think so cumbersome. And often I think for me, myself, I do get overwhelmed by that because I'm not really a very detailed person. So the detail part becomes difficult. Is this where someone like you step in to be able to assist in that? But also, can you just clarify how important it still is? Because I know, this is something that you've done with me with my business, is being able to look and say, you still need to be here when we're doing this. You can't give it to me and say, go do it. It's you co-create, right?
Yeah, it's a matter of co-creating, because the business owner is the person that has the passion for that business. He knows where it needs to go. He knows where he wants to take it. He may just not know how to do that. Strategy can be a very, very complicated and cumbersome process. There's many books, and if people start reading books about balanced scorecards and all the other strategic possibilities, it can be very overwhelming. So it helps to get in somebody like Mechanics of Business, who have been there, who have done it in big corporations the complicated way, but can now distill it down to a very simplistic form. Because strategy doesn't need to be complicated. It can be very simple, very basic, but very critical to the sustainability of the business.
I guess what you're saying is the business owner looks at what is the vision that they have for the business, but then you essentially can help them to fill in the blanks.
He's got the vision. We can help him realize that vision, put in place the steps to get to that vision.
Okay, and most importantly, the systems and processes that needs to be put in place to
Absolutely,
create it.
yeah. Everything backfills getting to that vision. We can assist in putting in place. Whether it's working with people, you're identifying perhaps some skills that may be missing within his team to get him there. We can identify those gaps and put in place processes to address that.
Yeah, and I think what I find is most importantly, especially when I look at my own business, is I think what has been exceptionally important for me is for me to know as a business owner what is my strengths, right?
Yes.
Because otherwise, what we tend to do is when we work with people, we tend to work with people that has the same strengths as us because we get along with them. But that doesn't often help us, because then we have two people that likes doing exactly the same things, but more importantly, doesn't like doing the exact same things. And then the things that you don't like, you procrastinate on. So that is equally important, right? Is that as a business owner, that you know yourself well enough to know the kind of talent that you need to bring into the company. Because that is going to fill in those other blanks that you have. And I think the mistake a lot of business owners make is thinking, I can do it all. And yes, while we can do it all, we can't do it all well enough. So you can be a jack of all, but a master of none. So you have to know where you can master at your business. And you're going to find other masters that masters the areas that you can't.
One thing I've seen through career in corporate is when you interview people, when you hire people, the tendency is always to hire somebody that's similar to you. That's a great person. He thinks exactly the same way as I do. And that should be the red flag. You don't want somebody just to think the same way as you and agree with you on everything. You want somebody to challenge you. And that's something I really liked about the profiling that you do with the talent dynamics, where it identifies what gaps there are in the team and identifies the kind of person you need to hire into the team to fill the structure. And I think that's very important.
And I think another thing I was thinking about earlier, actually, and I was thinking the difference because of corporate and small businesses, and I was looking at, many of the bigger businesses tend to have a customer service department. In small businesses, customer service, your entire business is the department. So gearing the entire team up to be customer oriented is exceptionally important, because there is no department for that. Every person needs to show up. And I was looking at places like, even if you look at places that's bigger, like ShopRite or Woolworths or all of these things, I was looking at that and thinking, they have these customer service departments, but then the people that's at the forefront, the cashiers, the packers, all of that, often are the ones people complain about because they don't understand customer service.
So I think there are a couple of things there. First, when you look at maybe the major retailers, because a lot of the packers and tellers are usually contract staff in from outside, they don't perhaps have the same customer service training as the internal teams do. I think the other point, even within large companies, what must always be brought to everybody's mind is that everybody has a customer. If you are the finance department, the rest of the organization is your customer. If you are the manufacturing department, the sales team is your customer. So everybody has got a customer, maybe internal, maybe external. So that customer focused mindset must prevail throughout the organization.
And I was thinking that's so important for small businesses, because this is the one area I think that is a little problem child for small businesses, because when you have 4 or 5 people working for you, but out of that 4 or 5 people, only one person is customer orientated or cares about customers. When a customer have a bad experience, they generally don't want to come back to the store. Not because you don't have great products or anything like that, but because they didn't have the customer experience.
So that's important. Many big customers today have customer experience programs in place, where you map every touch point between a customer and the organization to make sure that that touch point exhibits great experience to the customer. Obviously, for a small business, it can be much easier because there are 4 or 5 people. Just understand where each of those 4 or 5 people have a touch point with a customer, and make sure you address that so that you have exceptional customer experience at all times.
Because I know you and I have often gone into small businesses here in South Africa where we want to support small businesses, but you get in and you ask someone, where can I find this, or do you, and they just look at you and they don't say anything, they walk away. You're not sure, have they gone to fetch someone? Was there a misunderstanding? And you left feeling like, okay, there's no point in going in here.
So I don't think it's only in small businesses that happen. It happens in big businesses as well. The difference is if you go into a major retailer, a Woolworths, a Truworths, an Edgar's, any one of them, and you have that kind of experience, they have the brand reputation to sustain that. You will go back again.
Yeah.
A small business does not have that brand reputation to sustain that kind of behavior, which is why it's much more critical for them to ensure exceptional customer experience at all times.
Now, what does success look like for a small business after working with Mechanics of Business?
So there's a couple of things we would like to see. One, obviously, we want to see the sustainable improvement in financials once we've gone. We like to see leaders who are now able and have the skills to actually continue that improvement on their own and take the business to even higher levels.
And I think it's really important to say, and I've seen you operate in this area, and I think what's great about the way you do it is that you are essentially also holding hands with small business owners and saying, let's do this together. So they don't feel overwhelmed by the process. And also you have a way of not making people feel like, hey, you're dumb because you don't know this. You sort of look and go, it's okay. Let me teach you. Okay. And I think that is something that sometimes it's missing, where, many consultants I've seen sometimes, come in with the attitude of, you should know this. Like, you're a business owner, how can you not know this?
So I think there you've got to have respect for the business owner. This is the person that's taken the risk. He's the entrepreneur, he's thrown everything into his passion. You have to respect him for that. One of the reasons that so many small businesses in South Africa fail is because those entrepreneurs don't perhaps have the business skills. They have the vision and they have the ability to do the hustle, but they don't have the business skills. That's where a Mechanics for Business comes in. We can assist you in developing those skills, in building those skills in the organization. So we support that owner in that regard.
And I think it comes back to allowing the owner the space to be able to move out from working in the business on a day-to-day basis and working on his business. And then you also helping them to be able to identify talent that can take that managing in the business over, so that they can slowly let go and they can keep creating greater visions for their business and start the expansion part of their business while there are people in place to work in the business. And you help to be able to mentor those people as well in managing the business. And I think that's really important, because that's where you've been exceptionally good, is being able to spot the talent with that, the hidden talent in business that you can actually mentor and help to get to that next level.
So first, we use the word co-create a lot, because for us, we're not an advisor, we're not a consultant. We're part of your team, and we help co-create whatever needs to be placed into the business to achieve the results. So, we are there in the background. we don't take over running the business. That's ours. We're there in the background, provide the supporting structure, give the advice, develop the skills, transfer the knowledge, and then step back and see the business flourish.
Okay, so that's it for the small business edition. I'm really excited to say that Gary and I are busy working on some small business mornings that we hope to invite all of you to join us in being able to work on your business rather than in it. So we're very excited, and so look out for that coming soon here in Cape Town. Yeah.
Thank you. I look forward to that. I think that we can add a lot of value, both on the side as well as the people side, to actually holistically develop their business.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. See you next time.